Hey folks, what you're looking at is my gaming rig, which is my is currently my only desktop up here in the bedroom, and that is because I have changed my main computer over to a laptop, which you will see in a future video, which means that the gaming rig is now my sole desktop up here. So I've basically consolidated all my best and latest hardware together in order to make this thing, you know, what it is. A lot's changed since you've last seen this computer. Some of you guys might remember the ASRock H97 anniversary board that I put in my Linux rig. Well, that's changed over to the laptop. That board is now in my gaming rig. It still has the Core i3 4330 in it at 3.5 gigahertz, which is about the same performance as the 2500S that I was using in the other board before. So I decided to upgrade to newer hardware. It's not an i5, but the i3 has similar performance, and certainly performance that's good enough for what I need right now. I plan on upgrading that CPU eventually, but for now it's doing the job pretty well, actually. Has 16 gigs of RAM in it. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade that to 32 or 24 at some point, or if I'm just going to say screw it and wait until I get a wait until next year when newer machines are out, newer platforms, and just take a look at that. I think that might be what I might do. Is I might just wait until next year, see what the new Zen platform and Kaby Lake platforms are like, and you know, if none of those, if it's too expensive, I'll just upgrade my CPU in this and call it good. So you have the Core i3 4330 CPU. You have the 16 gigs of RAM. You have the ASRock H97 anniversary board, which has that chip in it. In this machine, you have the PC Power and Cooling 750 watt power supply that has these amazing connectors on it. It's a shame PC Power and Cooling is no longer a thing. They were a great company. And of course, in this you have drives. I've swapped the drives around quite a bit between the machines. Of course, it has the Crucial SSD as the boot drive. I have a Toshiba 2 terabyte drive as the drive with all my videos on it for YouTube. I have a 2 terabyte Western Digital there that I use for games, and a 1 terabyte Western Digital down there that's just for like random stuff. It's basically where my documents and photo pictures and all that stuff that would normally be, you know, in my user library on Windows, it just all goes on this drive instead. So I was able to consolidate my bigger drives to this machine, video edit on this machine as well to help consolidate. You know, I moved my video editing to this machine as well so that I could put the bigger drives in here. So I'm using Power Director to do my editing now, which leads for faster exporting thanks to GPU rendering, which takes us to the GPU. This is the current GPU in this system. It is a Gigabyte AMD Radeon R7 370, which is a pretty good card still, despite it basically being a third generation rebadge of the 7850. Despite that, it's held its own pretty well up until this year, pretty much. I bought the new Doom, and that made this CPU choke big time on 1080p, which means, well, first I bought the game, then I bought a new monitor, which is 1080p for work, and once I started playing games at 1080p, I noticed this card starting to choke. So I decided that this thing is due for an upgrade. This card won't be going away. I'm going to be putting it in another machine that will be in another video you'll be seeing. It's of basically the hardware that used to be in my gaming rig, actually. So that'll be a nice Windows machine to put somewhere else. But anyhow, we're talking about this machine right now, and this R7 370 has to go. What do I have to replace it? Something with a piece of paper stuck to it. This beauty right here, an XFX Radeon RX 470, 4 gigabyte. I got this one pretty much just as the card came out. It came out like a week ago or two or something like that, and Yeah, it did not come out that long ago. I managed to get a back order in just before they closed them on Newegg, so managed to get a nice upgrade for, I think the base price of the RX 470 is $180, but because this is an aftermarket card, it bumped it up to like 200 something. But it honestly, if it's around $200, I'm pretty happy with it. So, you know, I was gonna go for the RX 480, but simply because of availability and pricing, I went with this one because at the time I bought this, it was basically hard to get anything like this at all. So I got this because it was available, and it was still an upgrade that would smoke the crap out of the R7 370. This thing is going to run circles around it, despite it not being the 480 that everyone's lusting after. The 470 should be good enough. Plus, the numbers make sense. I had a 370. Let's get a 470. Way! So, you know, there's that. So what's this card all about? It's a nice card. It's a has XFX's custom cooling stuff on it, which is why I bought it. I was gonna wait for a gigabyte one, but XFX's is really nice actually, so it's fine. This thing needs a 500 watt power supply to run. Good thing I have a 750. It has 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM. It's a 256-bit interface as well, so it's pretty fast. The memory on it is pretty fast, which is something I was used to back when I had an 8800 GT. But now it's finally starting to creep back into these cards, especially the AMD cards. The AMD cards really have high memory bandwidth, which is why I'm going for them in my Windows computers, is because of that memory bandwidth specifically. So, some good stuff. What does the card look like? Let's check it out, man. I took one look already, and the card looks to be in really good shape. So let me get this out of the thing. Here she is, hot off the presses. Is this XFX card. Has some serious heat pipes going on there on the cooler, which is nice. Takes, just like the old card, it takes one 6-pin connector and that's it. I like cards that are pretty power efficient. The I/O on this version of the card was really good too. A lot of these only have a bunch of display ports and an HDMI, and that's really it. This one actually has a DVI connector, so I didn't have to buy an adapter or anything. Although usually these days they'll just give you the adapter, but the cooler on this was just really nice, so I was attracted to it immediately. I mean, made me fall in love right away. Let's look at the reveal here. Doing this with one hand sucks. Let's put the camera here, not on top of its own lens cap, and take this off. It's not the most graceful peel in the world, but hey, there you go. Peel the plastic off the back plate there. Oops. What does it say on the back of here? 4 gigs of RAM, 3 display ports. Yeah, made in China, but what isn't made in China these days? It's still pretty high quality. Anyhow, grab the camera here. Look at that. Ain't she beautiful? Hopefully it's quiet. I'd assume it is. Well, there you go. Now I just got to get the old card out and we'll stick the new card in. This old one's nice and tiny. This new one's a little bit bigger, so bit of a size difference, but you know, whatever. It'll definitely fit in this case. I need to correct myself. As I'm taking this graphics card out, I noticed that it's not the H97 anniversary, it's the H97M anniversary motherboard that I have. So, in case you were looking for one of these, it's the H97M anniversary from ASRock. Let me fiddle around and get this card out. There's the old. There's the new. Different brands, so it looks very, very different, but we're going to stick it straight in there. And for those of you who wanted to see the model of my motherboard, there it is, the H97M Anniversary by ASRock. Pretty nice motherboard that has good features, is inexpensive. and is pretty reliable. So yeah, let's stick the card in there, shall we? There we go, got her in there. A little bit of a tight squeeze around all this cable mess, but you know me, I could care less about cable management as long as it doesn't block airflow. And it doesn't, so it's fine. Anyhow, there you go. New graphics card in. So, I've updated you on the hardware that's in here. The software's the same. I mean, it's Windows 10. It's a bunch of games. It's some software I use for work, some GIS mapping software, ArcMap, if you've ever used that before. And that's really about it. So I'm going to stick the cover on it, install the drivers, and see if the card works. Let's check it out. One thing I did want to take note of first before I start the computer up is the difference in I/O. This has the 3 display ports, the HDMI and the DVI port on the new card. So as you can see, there's a lot more display port and digital. Basically everything on here is digital. But then again, I guess it is on the old card. But this one has more DVI ports. It has a single HDMI and a single display port. So it seems the theme of newer cards is a lot more outputs. Just thought I'd mention that, just because it's a thing. Alright, here we are at the computer setup, which I need to do a video of itself. I have a lot of equipment here now, including a second computer, which will also be in a future video. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. So the computer's here, right next to my transfer PC, which again we'll talk about later, on this desk. So this desk is centered around mostly work. Transfer work, you know, work that pays the bills, and gaming. So it's essentially an all-around Windows machine that has some high specs, and this is basically a dedicated Windows XP machine for the moment that does transfer work. So we're going to be focusing on this machine right now, since we just put a new video card in it. So yeah, this one. What's connected up to this machine? This Alps keyboard that I've really liked. Nice solid keyboard. One of these Microsoft wheel mouse opticals, which fit my hand extremely well and don't have any superfluous buttons. If there's one thing I hate, it's mice that have superfluous buttons. Buttons on the sides and random buttons right here I just think are stupid, and I just want left, right, scroll. If you get backwards and forwards by moving the wheel left to right, I'm fine with that, but generally I like very simple mice, which is why I go for the cheap ones like this. Because they work well, they don't cost a lot, and simplification is a good thing, in my opinion. So anyway, this is the headset I use at the moment. It's a Plantronics headset. It's analog, but I have it plugged into a, if I could find it here, get the camera back here, a Logitech USB audio DAC. Simply because the audio on this doesn't have jack sensing, so that pretty much takes care of that problem. Anyhow, let's turn the machine on and see how it reacts to this new graphics card. I've really dug this setup so far. Oh yeah, I have a card reader hooked up as well. There's your ASRock logo. Now you may be asking me, why would this not be your main computer if you're putting so much of your good hardware in here? That's a good question, because this is running Windows, simply because of that. I don't consider Windows suitable for a main computer. I do see it as good for doing work, getting video editing done, and gaming, but my main computer is its own thing. I come to this computer generally to get work done rather than relax. So to relax, I use a different computer, which again we'll touch on in another video. I mean, you guys have seen that setup before, how I basically have a desk over there that has my main computer because it's nice and dark, it's more relaxing, I don't have this halogen light beaming in my face the whole time, and it's generally really nice. So that's why this is not a main computer. It's a good computer, but it's not my main one. Anyway, let's log in and get drivers installed and stuff. Alright, we're logged in here. I haven't installed the drivers yet. I don't know why my mouse isn't working. I probably forgot to plug that in or something. Yeah, let me fix that. Alright, we're getting the drivers installed now. Got the Radeon Crimson Edition stuff going. I'll tell you what, AMD has improved a hell of a lot in terms of graphics drivers. They used to be horrible back in the ATI days. Things would get put on legacy constantly, whereas stuff now is pretty well supported, it seems. You know, and that's why I always went with NVIDIA in the past, because the support cycle was a lot longer. But with these AMD cards, it seems to be pretty good now. Doesn't seem to be as much of an issue. Well, would you look at that? There's no AMD Gaming Evolved bullshit in there that nobody needs to install. Nice, there's the Vulkan stuff. Looks like that's really it. Nice. No more AMD Gaming Evolved. That's one of the most useless applications ever. So then you get ads for games. Plants vs. Zombies is still going on. I have to admit, Plants vs. Zombies actually isn't a bad game for casual stuff. Liquid VR. There it goes. The monitor's flipping out, man. Ah, that's over there now suddenly. But yeah, there you go. I'm gonna install these, and then I'll fire up Doom, and we'll give this thing a shot. See if it chokes. Okay, there's a lovely view of my ViewSonic monitor. This is the new monitor I got for this setup, by the way. It's a ViewSonic LED backlit 1080p monitor. I think it's 22-inch. It's a great monitor. I've enjoyed every bit of it. I got this mainly for work, so that I could do the GIS mapping stuff and actually see everything on the map. But it also makes games look really nice too. So that's an added benefit. Otherwise, I would have just used my other monitor. I would have been happy. So anyway, campaign. Let's turn the sound up a little bit, and well, actually, no, we got to go to the options and stuff, whatever that is. I don't know where the options are. I think I have to go into a game. No, I have to go to settings here. See, it's on 1440 by 900 right now. Before, why is it set to 16 by 10? This is a 16 by 9 monitor. See, the way I had it set before, I had it on 1600 by 900 on the R7 370 to make it run, and I lowered the settings a little bit. So what I'm going to do is raise it to 1080p here. Anti-aliasing is on 8x. What else have we got here? What's in the advanced section? Okay, let's make this 1080p now. There we go. What's in the advanced section? So open GL 1.5, or I can use Vulkan. I've actually never used Vulkan before. We should give that a shot, since it's new to this card. Looks like it's medium all the way. Let's try Vulkan just to see what it does. Maybe not. Window mode, full screen, anti-aliasing, yada yada yada. Let's try Vulkan with all this stuff on, like Ultra, see what happens. Why not, right? Overall quality, Ultra. Let's see what we get out of this card, shall we? Yes, I'd like to keep these settings. Oh, it has to restart the game? Come on, man. Well, I'm going to wait for another 20,000 years. Just in case you guys wondered whether my speakers have any bass. Those are speakers from the 1970s, by the way. Yeah, they're like 40-year-old speakers, and they sound great. Especially with games like this, where there's a bunch of bass and stuff. Seriously? Seriously? Fucking Windows firewall. Anyway. Let's go back to our settings. We're on Vulkan. Quality's on Ultra. Vulkan is new to me. I've never used the Vulkan API before. Normally this uses OpenGL, but let's see what it looks like. Let's see what Vulkan can do, since this new card supports it. If it chokes on Vulkan, I can just put it back on OpenGL and not have a real problem. Let's see how it looks. Oh, it's smooth. Look at that. It's beautiful. I think the mouse sensitivity, I think some of the settings have been changed for the mouse stuff. Motion blur is off. No, it's fine. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Oh god. Let's go back down here. Let's punch some stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, this kicks the ever-loving crap out of my 370. The game looks 10 times better. I think the Vulkan API is actually making the game smoother, because OpenGL can be a little bit choppy sometimes, from what I've heard. Don't quote me on that, but you know, I've heard good things about the Vulkan API, and this is the first time I've ever seen it, and the game is smooth, so my impressions are good, and the graphics look nice, so I'm cool with that.
My security systems operate on 2 separate neural networks that terminate in this facility. Each termination point is protected by an electrified field, but you should survive the surge.
I should survive the surge. What a confident computer. See, I have to go like up there somewhere. I think I have to go up here. There, I turned the switch off. Now let's get back to shooting stuff. Yeah. 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 I want to use that. Let's use a chain gun. Yeah, I haven't played this game in a while, actually, so I'm a little rusty. Yeah, super shotgun. I had to show you guys that. This game is really disgusting, so I wouldn't let your kids watch this video if I were you. I'd say you should at least be a teenager if you're going to watch this. And not be 12, because this stuff is pretty violent. And kind of gross sometimes. Oh god, that thing. The giant fatso things. And I can't move because of this damn staircase. Hey you. Bash. Ooh. I love this game. I figured I'd show you guys at least one surge. Yeah. I like this gun. It's a nice gun. Ooh, Berserk. Let's punch stuff. That was a dumb thing to punch, but come here. Come here! That was fun. Got myself some health. Yeah, I see no drop in performance at all like I was seeing before. It would get really choppy during fights like that on the other card. The Vulkan API seems to be doing a fine job too. I have a feeling that if I switch this back to OpenGL, it would probably perform about the same. I would get the 60 frames that I want out of this monitor. That's one thing I should mention. You don't need, if you basically, for frame rates, you want the frame rate that's the same as the refresh rate of your monitor. In this case, this monitor has a 60 hertz refresh rate. So you want 60 frames. That's what you want to shoot for. If you get higher than that, that's because you have VSync turned off. But you don't, above 60, you won't see those frames. So yeah, if you're getting like 300 frames, you're not going to see that unless you have a really high refresh rate on your monitor, which is just not the case for most monitors. push this button here.
My vital operating systems are now vulnerable. I recommend destroying my cooling system first. This will accelerate the destabilization process.
I like how the computer is recommending that you kill it. I like how the computer is basically committing suicide, but it's just like, yes, this is business as usual. These are those meatballs from the original Doom. Only they're a little bit man. I am not amazing at this game because I haven't played it in about a month or so. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. No. No. Would you stop that? You're trying to eat me, man. It's not fun. Bam. Give me that health. Give me that health. Grenade, please. I love this chainsaw. But yeah, this card seems to be performing well. I basically only bought this because this game in particular was choking. Otherwise, I wouldn't have really cared all that much because all my other games played just fine, but this one choked big time. And this game is one of my favorite new ones so far because it has such a good campaign, which is rare nowadays because most games are all about the multiplayer. And in my later years, I'm in my mid-20s. At this point, I just don't give a shit about multiplayer as much anymore. I did back in Halo 2 days about 10 years ago. These days, it's just a bunch of COD kids basically, and that's just boring. So, I like to focus on games that are good to play whether I'm with someone else or not. And there are games I play with other people as well. So, you know, I like to have a good mix. Like, if I don't feel like being around people, I want to play a game where I'm not interacting with other people. So this is a good balance. So, anyhow, since it was choking on newer games, I got this card. Look at that hologram. Anyway, I think that's enough of Doom. Just to show you that it works. So I'm going to exit the desktop here. But there you go. That's Doom working. It doesn't choke anymore. I can just see visually that it's a hell of a lot better than it was on the old card. This RX 470 smokes the crap out of the R7 370. So it was a very good upgrade, mostly because of the new GPU. That improved a lot. So, and listening to this card now, you can kind of hear it. It's not terribly loud, but I can definitely hear fans running. So, and that's just after playing that game. So, there you go. That's been the improvements to the gaming rig. It's been this card, and you've seen the performance in Doom here. It looks and runs fantastic on this card. So, you know, it definitely a good buy for about $200 and something. And I could have paid less if I got a reference card, but I didn't want a reference card. I wanted one with a nice cooler, and this one has that. So, I know I'm going to lose unsafe progress, but I don't mind shooting stuff again because I think that's fun. There you go. There's my desktop. It's still the it is still the mixer. It probably will be for a long time. Anyhow, that's been a look at the new gaming rig. It's definitely a sight to behold, and I'm a pretty big fan of what I accomplished here, putting all my best hardware together. The only thing that would really put it up to snuff is putting an i5 in there, which I might do that anyway, despite me saying I was going to wait till next year. I might just go ahead and do that anyway. It really depends on the prices of the CPUs on eBay. But I have a feeling that I probably should just leave it alone unless it chokes, because the Core i3, despite what people say about them, they're fine. I mean, I was just gaming on one with a brand new game, and it was fine. So, you know, it has about the same. The particular one that I have, the 4330, has about the same performance as the 2500S I had in my old motherboard. So, you know, it's fine. It should not have a problem. But anyhow, that's the gaming rig. it's my main desktop now. This is where I go to do work and to game and to do video editing. So, you know, I should probably show you that actually. Let me zoom back into the screen because we should make sure that that hardware rendering is still supported in Power Director. So let me position the camera here, and we'll open up Power Director and see if the hardware rendering is still there. So we'll go to Preferences here, go to Hardware Acceleration, and it is. It uses OpenCL technology to do that, so you can still do that. Let me so let me just load a let me just put a picture in there so that I can go to produce. There you go. Fast video rendering is still there. So on this AMD card, I'll be rendering. This will also render the videos you see here on YouTube. I was using the R7 370 to do that for a little while before, and before that, when I was using OpenShot for about a year, I was just using a CPU to do it. But using a GPU is way faster and can let me get a couple videos done in one day and schedule those to come out over the next couple weeks, which is what I tend to do these days because I don't have I don't have the time I used to. So there you go. Yeah, everything seems to check out. So wait a minute, we're not done yet. This machine seems to be getting upgrades left and right. I've decided, it's probably been like a week or so since the last segment of this video where I played Doom and stuff like that. I've decided to stick with Haswell for the long haul for this build. So I might be getting some more RAM for this eventually. I might go up to 32 gigs. I'm not sure yet, but at least as far as RAM goes, I probably will. I imagine I probably will, just to make this thing last forever. So here's a look at the RX 470, if that wasn't in an earlier segment. She's beautiful. I think I did film this, though. There's the red RAM. You'll notice that the cooler, the Hyper 212 Plus I use, is not installed. That's because this thing's getting a new CPU. Currently, it has an i3 4330 in it, which is actually a really good chip. The Haswell i3s are fantastic. You know, I've been video editing on this chip, I've been gaming on this chip, and it hasn't even broken a sweat. You know, Haswell's a really good platform for that. So in the mail today, I'm waiting for the mail to come. I have a Core i5 coming. It's a model number with a T on the end, which means it's a 35-watt chip. So it's using even less. So I'm upgrading and using less power, which will be very nice. So the i3 I'm going to keep around for other machines because that i3 is fantastic. I bought it on eBay like a year or two ago. I think about a year ago. That's when I got it. It's been a fantastic chip. I used it in my Linux machine for years. I've been using it in the gaming rig now temporarily. But we're putting an i5 in here. I don't see the need to go to an i7 because I'm not pushing the CPU super hard. I just want it to be somewhat future-proof. I can survive on i3s and everything just fine. But for my main desktop, which is this gaming rig, I kind of want it to have the full Monty quad-core experience. Considering that 6-core and 8-core and even higher than that is probably going to become the norm at some point on the DDR4 platforms with all these new chips and new technologies, and this is still DDR3. So, yep, we're going to stick with Haswell. I'm thinking about upgrading that RAM. I probably won't make a video about that, but just know that that's a future upgrade that I'm probably going to put 32 gigs in here. It has 16 right now, but with the 4 RAM slots, I should be able to get 32 in here without a problem. So that'll be happening some point in the future. And, you know, there you go. I just got to wait for this CPU to come in the mail, and then I'll install it, and I'll show you that the computer detected it. And bada bing, bada boom. And the only thing left to do to this machine after that CPU arrives is to get the 32 gigs of RAM for it, and then I'll be set for a while. So there you have it. Okay, the CPU that I installed in here that I couldn't remember the name of is the Core i5 4460T. I basically got the most power efficient processor I could find, and it also happened to be the cheapest on eBay at the time, so I grabbed it for think $136, something like that. It's much lower clocked than the Core i3 I had in here, but this is how they achieve such a low TDP. This is a 35-watt chip. It uses no power, and that's a big deal because I tend to have a lot of computers running at the same time, and I don't want to make the light bill go up too much. So in my future builds, I've made it a point to do power for power efficiency. Maybe not for builds with older CPUs in it, like the transfer PC here, but for this build, it seems to be the theme right now. I have this T-series Intel processor in here, and I have the RX 470, which itself is a pretty power-efficient GPU. So it works well. I mean, you'd think with that lower clock speed it wouldn't be that great. But remember the turbo frequency these chips have. These things can turbo up to 2.7. So it's really not a big deal to have a base clock of 1.9 at all, because it turbos up pretty high. I've noticed on this motherboard it doesn't seem to acknowledge that. Even in Windows it just says it runs at 1.9 all the time. I don't know if that's just my motherboard or it just doesn't acknowledge the turbo that's there. I don't know what that's all about, but even that being what it is, I tried doing some basic work, exporting a video without hardware acceleration, just to push the CPU. I tried. What else did I try? Tried playing a bit of Doom again, and it didn't choke on any of it. I mean, it performed as well as I would have expected it to. Even at this lower clock speed, it's still fine. So there you go. It's the i5 4460T. So now that I'm set up with an i5 that seems to perform well. I mean, if this clock speed thing continues to be a problem, obviously I'll probably switch the chip out for a 4460S. But I doubt it. I mean, this chip seems to run fine and do the job just fine. What was I saying? Yeah, the only thing left to do is to put 32 gigs of RAM in here, which is still kind of a tentative decision. I want to do that. Whether I actually do, it'll be, it remains to be seen. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do that, just because I plan to stick with Haswell for the long haul for a while. And, there you go. There's your hardware monitor. I can set the fan curve on silent mode, and it's nice and quiet, and it still keeps that CPU at a nice cold temperature. That Hyper 212 Plus has been doing its job well for years. It's way overkill for what I'm using, but I bought it, so I might as well use it, But hey, there you go, and the fan's barely spinning, as you can see, and it's cooling that CPU just fine. But yeah, there you go. That's the chip. Runs just fine. Boot up into the OS just to show you that Windows recognizes it and everything. Get that little beep. And there goes Windows. So let me log in there. Let me log in there. And here we go. Alright, so if we go to System here, see that we're running the 4460T at 1.9. See, over here is where you'd normally see the turbo, but for some reason it's staying at 1.9. I don't really know what that's all about. I mean, if that's really ever a problem, I'll either replace the chip or just overclock it. One of the two. But I suspect it'll be fine the way it is. I tested everything that I normally do out with this chip to see if that clock speed would make any difference, and it really doesn't. The fact that I have 4 physical cores actually makes it a little bit better than the i3. So, as high clocked as that i3 was, I don't think it really made a huge difference for my needs. Now, for somebody else's needs, where you're doing 3D animation and heavy CPU intensive stuff, that's where it will actually matter. For me, it doesn't seem to matter at all, so it's fine. It seems to be a great machine, though. I've had very little trouble with it, other than the fact that the motherboard used to turn itself on until I reset the BIOS at one point and then updated it. That was a little weird. But that problem appears to have gone away for now, so there you have it. That's the gaming rig. Not what you typically find, where people would normally put the best crap they can find in a gaming rig. I don't think that really serves much of a purpose. What I'm trying to do here is do power efficiency and get the best I can for my money, and or just get the best that's available at the time for my money. And the RX 470 I happen to get because of availability, despite shooting for the RX 480, but it's fine. It's still a good upgrade. The i5 is an upgrade because I get 4 physical cores. The clock speed goes down, but the trade-off is power efficiency, and that means less money going on the electric bill, which is nice. Which is very nice. Plus, I can still get all my work done that I need to do on this computer and play the games that I play on here occasionally and stuff like that. So, and the video editing is mostly GPU intensive these days, because when I render videos, it's with PowerDirector, and PowerDirector can use my GPU as hardware acceleration. So, no problems there. It's very nice. So, hopefully this T-Series processor works out. It's the first time I've used one, so we'll see how it is in the long haul. I might change that out later if I don't like it, but I like it so far, so there you have it. 35-watt chip, man. I just can't believe that. I should really be putting those in the servers I have as well. That would be a smart idea. So there you have it. This is just to reaffirm. I thought that Turbo Boost wasn't working because I went to this PC on my computer. I went to Properties, and you saw it was running at 1.9, 1.9. Well, this thing lies to you, at least on some computers. When I look in the CPU section of the Task Manager, you can see the speed is up to 2.40 gigahertz. It's turbo boosting up to that, and can turbo boost up to 2.7, which is exactly what this 35-watt chip is supposed to do. Its base clock is 1.9, but it runs higher than that, up to 2.7, which is pretty fantastic. I mean, that's what I'm using for editing video and converting video, specifically with Handbrake, for example. That's what'll use up that CPU. And this being a 35-watt chip really makes this viable. I really like this. It's an absolute powerhouse of a computer that doesn't use a lot of power, and that's exactly what I was aiming for. In fact, I just bought the 32 gigs of RAM. But that's just a clip confirming that Turbo Boost is working. So, thumbs up, man. 32 gigabytes. The RAM arrived today, and it works. Yay! That's how we'll end this video. I hope you enjoyed watching the progression of this desktop computer, which will probably stay the same for a good long while, maybe with a graphics card upgrade if it lasts long enough for that. And that being it, hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.